let's talk about upcoming projects.
Okay.
So One Hit Quitter.
One Hit Quitter, man.
I love the title.
that title is on point, man.
I love the title. Now, tell us what One Hit Quitter is about.
Oh, what the?
Oh, hell! Get it, teacher!
No, move!
Does everybody hear me? Is everybody listening? There's a war that we need to wage.
One Hit Quitter is about a boy, right?
I want him to say it again. The way it falls off his tongue, it just comes off in a way that neither Ant nor I can do it that way. So just tell the audience what's the title again?
One Hit Quitter.
Okay.
All right. But no, it's the story of a young boy who is addicted to watching violent videos online. So he's looking at things on World Star and Facebook fights and Vine fights and YouTube and Live Leak and all these other things that you have now. And the more he watches those, the more desensitized he becomes to the violence.
Right.
And because, the school system has sort of failed him, his mom, she works a lot and he has everything that he wants, but she's always at work, so he doesn't really have anybody there. His father's not in the home. His teacher, tries to teach him, but he has all this bravado and he don't want to listen to nobody, can't nobody tell him. Anyway, so you see how because he's never really been held responsible for his actions, he just becomes more and more violent, and that's what the film's about. And it's interesting because I guess it was 2 years ago, maybe, or maybe last year, you had all these like knockout games that were happening.
Right.
People running up on people and knocking them out.
Yeah.
So I'm watching that stuff and I start researching it and just seeing like, wait a minute, it's just not even about this knockout stuff.
Right.
There's a whole website dedicated to fights.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm talking about these things have 2 million views, 5 million views, and the comments, people egging people on, giving them like little nicknames or whatever, monikers or whatnot. And these people feeling like, yeah, I've accomplished something.
That's right, man.
And so I wanted to make a movie about that because I don't think people realize how, prevalent that is.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, you've always got somebody wanting to be the next Kimbo Slice.
Exactly.
Thank you. I was trying to think of that. I was like, who's the bald dude that got braids in the back?
Once he tried to fight legitimately, he got handed.
But it started with Kimbo.
Yeah.
It started with Kimbo knocking folks out, and it just grew from there to where, you go up there on Facebook and you got girls fighting up in school and all this kind of crazy stuff, man, which is terrible. But I'm curious already just hearing about what the film is about.
Oh, absolutely.
I can't wait to get the opportunity to see it. So when has a date been set for when that's going to be released?
Yes, we actually screened at South by Southwest last week, and we will be at the Dallas International Film Festival April 14th and 15th.
Okay.
If you just go to dallasfilm.org and even my website, exodusfilmworks.com, I'll have all the info on there.
Excellent.
That's strange that I see, thing that's something that kind of reoccurs in the projects. They all seem to have very strong female characters. What are your thoughts about that? Is that something that you set out intentionally to do, or is it something that just kind of organically happens?
Honestly, I think it's something that organically happens because I grew up, with strong women. I saw women who did what they had to do to survive, who did what they had to do to provide for their families. I grew up in a single parent home. My dad wasn't around. And so I saw that. I just saw women doing what they had to do. And so when I see like really weak women on screen, I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not saying that there are weak women, they're weak everybody, right? But I know strong women and I know women who were fighters, and I know women who, you come to the door and that all that in the middle of the night, you scared in the corner because somebody robbing the house. No, I know it's a woman gonna get a knife and she coming for you. No, seriously. I mean, that's what I know, and so those are the women that I write. I don't know the woman that's cowering in the corner. You hit me, you gonna get hit back.
Right. Man or woman.
Whatever.
You guys watch our show. We talk about how we as African Americans are represented on the big and small screen at times.
Or not represented.
Or not. Incorrectly represented or not represented at all. You got both going on at times. Right. But we would love to get your perspective, being in the actual industry. I mean, kind of, what are your thoughts on where things currently stand in front of and behind the camera?
Hollywood is not knocking on our doors to make movies about us.
Right.
They are more interested in a one-sided view of who we as minorities are. Mm-hmm. And when you come in with a story that counters that, a story where we're strong, right. A story where we're nuanced, a story where we are the heroes of our own story,
right.
They don't understand that. And they're not interested in putting that depiction on screen.
Do they feel like there's just not an audience for that?
Well, how would you know that unless you tried it?
Right.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like everybody wants to say there's not an audience, but I don't see a lot of those films being distributed.
Right.
And I go to film festivals, and I've seen some really, really great films starring African American characters who are strong African American characters. Yeah, they have flaws, but again, they're overcomers and they triumph over situations. And you know, and it's not about them being black. And that's another thing. It's like every movie with black people, it has to do with, you know, how we overcame the civil rights movement, or how we overcame this or that.
Slavery,
and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I think we need to understand that history, and I think those movies are necessary when they flip the portrayal or when they show us another side of the struggle.
Yes, absolutely.
But when that's the only thing that I can be in, and that's the only story you want to see me in, that's a problem, because that lets me know how you view me as a human being.
Right.
I'm always having to overcome. I'm always having to strap. No, some of us done overcame. You know what I mean? Some of us are striving, and I'm not saying we got a long way to go.
Right.
We have long strides to make, but we need to see. It's funny. So I was watching this documentary. Here I go in the side story.
Oh, go ahead.
And it was called Through a Lens Darkly. Okay. And it was about black photographers from like the 1800s on. And I didn't know this. They were saying how Frederick Douglass strategically took hundreds of photographs of himself, and he made sure that those were widely distributed, because he said in order for not only white America to see me differently, but for black America to also see what they could be, they must see me in my suit.
Yes.
Right.
They must see me looking good. They must see me, you know, being an overcomer. And yet that doesn't mean that again, there's a lot of other issues that I have to deal with, but they have to see that, because they have to get in their mind's eye that they can be there. If you never see that part of yourself on screen or in the media, you're going to think that you can overcome. You know, it's like our history. So where you come from? Well, grandma was a slave in Tennessee. I mean, that's as far back as we can go.
Right.
When in fact, we got to go back further than that. We got to understand that we came from great people.
Exactly.
And if we came from that, yeah, we were broken down. Yeah, we were beaten down. Yeah, we got to deal with all this race. But if we can get together, if we can start to do things for ourselves, we can make things happen, because we came from that anyway. So it's in our DNA.
Right.
And, you know, again, I think Hollywood is not, you know, trying to make those movies. They're not knocking down my door.
And we need to come up with something that it serves as kind of counter programming to a lot of the garbage that is force fed down our throats. Okay, our kids these days have such a sense of entitlement because they grew up watching. You know, they want to pimp their rides. They want to do all these things. They want to wear, you know, $300 tennis shoes and so on and so forth. And they don't understand, you know, what kind of work effort goes into, you know, being able to put yourself in a position to do something like that.
This is true. I mean, you know, look, we again, when you don't see that hard work, and when all you see is, okay, you got, you know, I'm not going to start naming rappers, but you got all these rappers who have all of this stuff.
Right.
You know, but you don't really understand the true story behind them. You don't understand that a lot of this stuff is made up. Right.
Don't own it. Don't own
don't even own the persona.
Right.
You know what I mean? That it's a persona that was given to them. Yet you want that, and so in your mind, if you can get that kind of money, if you can get that kind of car, if you can get that kind of chain, those kind of Jordans or whatever you have to do to get it, you're gonna do it. And if that means going out selling dope, if that means trying to make fast money real fast, that's what you're gonna do.
Right.
But if you can see the work behind it, if you can hear the story of how it's gonna take a lot of being broke to get through it, it's gonna take a lot of hard nights, a lot of tears, and a lot of like wanting to give up but having to pull yourself back up. If you can go through that and then get it, can't nobody take it from you because it's yours. But if you never see that, then that's just a fantasy.
Yeah. So it's and I totally agree with everything that you just said. And so my mindset now is, I mean, how do we change it? From both sides as consumers, because and I'll say it as a rumor because I don't know it to be fact that when certain projects that may have a minority lead that is saying something, we are telling our story. Do we fully, as consumers, do we support those projects the way that we should?
No, we don't.
Okay.
I mean, the truth of the matter is, look, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, the projects aren't being made.
Yes.
On the other hand, sometimes when they are made, we don't necessarily go and support them. And let me say this goes back to something you asked me earlier. If 1 or 2 or 3 movies fails, right? That doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue, or Hollywood shouldn't continue to try to make movies, because guess what? They do it for white movies all the time.
All the time.
This comedy failed, and we're gonna try to get 6 other ones until we make you a star. But let one movie of ours fail, and we buried with the nail on the coffin.
That's right.
That's unfair. But this is the thing. How can you expect an industry that never wanted to include you in the first place to all of a sudden want to come out and make your movies?
Right.
So what does that mean? You got to create your own industry. You got to create your own distribution company. Right. You got to figure out a way to get your work out there to your people in the way that we got social media. Let's use it for good, right? We can start marketing to ourselves. We can take, Oscar Michaud did it. You take your movie, you go to little small theaters, and you play your movie for the people that need to see your movie, and eventually,
that's right,
your movie will catch fire and catch on. And the people that didn't want to include you, they probably still don't want to include you. But guess what? They're gonna have to include you. Yeah. Because it's all about money anyway.
How did you feel about Spike using Kickstarter to make The Sweet Blood?
Do your thing, Spike. I think look, Spike is in our tour. Spike is one of the greatest filmmakers that we've ever had. You know, and what he did when he first came out was amazing. The type of work that he made, it was bold, it was unapologetic, it was in your face. Right. He was dealing with issues. And the fact that Spike Lee has to get on a Kickstarter thing to raise money, I think, in my opinion, it's a little tragic. But if that's what he has to do, and if he has a fan base that will give him the $2 million or $3 million, I forget how much he raised, do it. Do what you got to do.
Does that not also give him some power, to do what he wants to do in front of the camera and behind it without studio pressure coming down on top of it?
Of course, that's his money. He can make the movie he wants to make. You want black aliens? Make black aliens. You want black vampires? Make black vampires.
Which brings up a very interesting question. It doesn't sound like this is something that you would be into, Yaki. But if you had to make a genre movie, sci-fi, fantasy, something along those lines, what type of movie would it be? Or could you ever see yourself making that type of movie?
I could. I don't know. I mean, that's so hard. Okay. This is going to be weird, but like fantasy, for example. I think Pan's Labyrinth is a good sort of idea of a film that's a fantasy. That's the kind of movie.
That's the kind of movie that would come from Yaki.
Yes, because it's going to mix that sort of political rhetoric in with the fantasy, so it's going to give you both worlds. So it's a dramatic story, but then it has that fantastical side to it, and it's commenting on something very prevalent. So that's the kind of movie Yaki probably would make.
Okay, which makes sense. I mean, I can't see you doing something escapist. Okay,
I don't think you could.
I can't see you doing something escapist. It would definitely have to be a thinking man's fantasy.
Yes.
Okay.
It would.
But I don't want to leave that point of what we're talking about of, minorities and supporting our films, getting our films made, because, I think those are all great points that you guys just made. And it sounds like what we're hearing here is really on two fronts. One, we as consumers, all of us, you guys as well as me and Kev, and Yaki, when these projects come out, we gotta support him. That's one of the reasons why he's sitting here talking to us right now, because even with me and Kev doing what we do, right? We want to critique films from our perspective, okay? And when we see talented people in the industry, we want to make as many people as possible aware of them and what they're doing. We got to support. And then, for all of y'all millionaires out there, and we know it's a lot of minority millionaires in this country and all over the doggone globe, you guys got to start coming together. I'm not a millionaire yet, otherwise I'd put myself in there. When I get there, I'll be writing a check too. Or, you know, you can take my $5 and
if I had that kind of money, I'd be giving it to this brother. Right? I'd have my own production company right now.
You take a post-dated check.
I would. I would.
Well, I'll write you. We got 2025 on it.
I put it under the mattress.
Hey, that sounds good. That sounds good. I joke, but seriously, I mean, we have to come together and bring our resources together to get these projects made. And when they're made, we gotta support them. And
that's so true. It's like, you know, we can't continue to complain about the lack of diversity if we won't put our money where our mouths are.
That's true.
We must. If I was a millionaire, I mean, even right now, I don't even have that much money, but I'm already gonna support somebody else's film. You know what I mean? I'm already about to become an executive producer of another project.
Right.
Yeah. Because even at the level that I can do it, I want to make sure that I'm helping somebody else get their film out. Just like some people have helped me, you know what I mean? Right. And I think that's important, you know. I think that when you get on that Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, even before that, but when you get on those levels, it's important, you know. If I had $20 million, I swear to you, I'd take 10 of it and find me 10 great filmmakers who I think are going to be the next whatever, and I'd make their movies.
Yeah. Right.
Because one, I want to see that art get made. I want to see them get their story sold. But also, I want to be in on that thing. Before Hollywood gets to it, I want to be the one to help you out.
Right.
And that's important.
Okay. And one other point I'll make to this whole topic, what we're talking about. So behind the camera, and even not so much just the actual, you know, people that are making the film, but even the decision makers. I mean, let's talk about that for a little bit. So to get to a place to where we're seeing more of our films being made, you know, those young people that may be watching this episode, what positions or roles or, you know, if they say, hey, I want to be in the industry, what types of opportunities should they be striving towards to get to that place where they can be the ones making the decisions to determine whether I'm going to green light this film or not?
Yeah, we need more executives, man. We need more people who literally can look at a project and say, you know what, this is the movie that I want to make. This is a movie that I want my production company to put their money behind. We have to have more gatekeepers who look like us, because until that happens, there's always going to be a wall that we're going to hit, because when it gets up to the top, if that person doesn't understand the story, if they don't understand like the characters, if it doesn't ring true to them. I mean, I've literally had people tell me black people don't talk like this when they read a script of mine, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, I mean, that's what you're dealing with. And sometimes people really don't know. And that's another thing, you know, when you start talking about race and things of that nature, it's like some people really truly don't know that they're being racist. They really truly don't know that they're excluding certain images, and so they need to be educated.
Right.
And the only way we can educate them, to be honest with you, is we got to get together and say, look, these are the kinds of films that we want to see. These are the types of images that we want to see of ourselves on screen. We don't want you to keep giving us this garbage.
Right.
And the way that you do that is by, when garbage comes out, you do not support garbage. Right? Now, yes, executives, but to be honest with you, even on social media. Prime example, there's a guy from France. I went to see him in concert. Very famous in Europe. Nobody knows him here. His YouTube videos have had 1 billion hits.
Wow.
If you see something that you really like, that you think is great, it could be a trailer, it could be a piece of art, it could be an artist, share that stuff. Oh, there is power in somebody having 200 million, 300 million, 500 million hits, because the minute that happens, then people start taking notice.
That's right.
Because now they know how to monetize that particular story, whatever that story is. And that's important too. We all have the power to make these things happen. Right. We just got to do it. You know, we got to get it on our agenda.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey man, well, again, we thank you so much
Yeah.
for taking the time to come hang out with us. And
this is thrilling, you know, for you to come sit down with a couple of film geeks, you know. I really can't think of a better way to spend an afternoon.
Well, thank y'all for having me. It's fun.
Oh, anytime. So, Yaki Smith, y'all, how can people get a hold of you, see your work, or get in contact with you?
You can find me on exodusfilmworks.com, which is my website. I'm also on Facebook at Yaki80, also at Exodus Filmworks. We have Don, a Yaki Film page as well. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. You can find me almost anywhere. And yeah, please just watch the work, share the work, talk about the work, because word of mouth is the thing that's really, really going to help the work get out there to a much wider audience.
Yeah. And we're following Yaki too, so you can look on our Twitter feed if you're trying to find him and see his work. You can see Wolf on Amazon Prime. Right. Go to HBO Go to catch Dawn, and we got One Hit Quitter that's going to be coming out next month. It's going to be at the Dallas International Film Festival. So if you're in the Metroplex like us, come and check that out for sure. That's our show, y'all. I am Ant. This is Kev. You can like us on Facebook.
Or you can follow us at The Movie Brothers on Twitter.
Yep. And subscribe to this channel. Okay?
Can't say that loudly enough. Okay, subscribe to this channel. We can continue to bring you quality, informational, educational, entertainment like we've done today.
That's right. All right, y'all. We're The Movie Brothers. This is the place, the one and only place, where we bring you nothing but the real on the real. Peace.